Hey everyone, my name is Tommy Reynolds, and for this little video I wanted to show you why every photographer should own a film camera. Now in the last 13 months I have acquired all of these film cameras, so I have become really obsessed, if you like, intrigued, that sounds a little bit better, doesn't it, with the idea of film photography. Now this video could go on for ages about why I enjoy photography, but I just want to kind of show you my collection of film cameras that I've acquired over the last 13 months and why I believe that it's good that every photographer should own one, as well as their digital SLR, of course. This is my collection of film cameras. I'll kind of show you one by one, but the first film camera I ever bought was this one. This was the Canon AE1 35mm camera. This is a great little camera. I mean, one of the main reasons I really like film is, of course, everyone will say it has that aesthetic quality to it that you can't recreate digitally, but also, how bloody cool do these guys look? They just look so fancy and they're built like bricks. They're just amazing. I just love the look of them. It just feels like you've got some nostalgia and some vintageness in your hands, if that's even a word, vintageness. We'll make it a word. And you can buy film cameras on eBay for dirt cheap. I mean, if you look hard enough, you can get them for about 20 quid. You know, some people just kind of, they just live in people's lost for years and then decide to throw them on eBay, and you can grab yourself a bargain. So that's the Canon AE1. It's a great camera. That's a 50mm lens that comes as standard. This is a pretty standard film camera. There are a lot of these floating around that you can buy. These were very, very popular. The one after that is the Rolleiflex. This is a 120 film camera. The idea with this is that this is actually a waist level viewfinder. So you actually look down into this and then you can control all your dials here, which is pretty cool. So that's a 120, so it takes slightly larger film. That's the Rolleiflex. I've only used this a handful of times. It's not my absolute favorite, but it's still a really, really cool film camera. Because the only downside is you can't change the lens, so it's fixed. I believe it's about an 80mm lens. It's still pretty cool though. It still looks very fancy, doesn't it? I used it in a shoot with Narina Palo where I was using my digital camera and photographing down into the viewfinder to use it as a composition tool, if that makes sense. The one I got after that is this one. This is my first Polaroid camera. This is a Polaroid automatic land camera 104, and this is really cool, very vintage. Look at these bellows, how cool do they look? So again, I used this on the Narina Palo shoot as well, which I'll leave a link for here. You can see that and where I used the other one here. But this is awesome. This is so cool. So unfortunately, you cannot buy the film for this anymore. Fuji have now discontinued it. But unlike the traditional Polaroid that you may know of, where it just comes straight out and you kind of leave it for a bit, this one, you have to physically pull it out. And then after 30 seconds to a minute, it's then able to then peel apart and then you have the image. Again, you can see that in the video here. But unfortunately, yeah, Fuji have now discontinued it, but this was one of the older style Polaroid cameras, and you use these things here to actually focus it, which is really cool. So that is an awesome Polaroid camera. The next one I got was, I wanted one to use for actual work, for use on proper shoots. So this, I invested in the Hasselblad 500cm. Again, another waist level viewfinder and another 120 film camera, but now with the ability to change the lens if I wanted to. And this is an 80mm 2.8 Carl Zeiss lens, so it's a very sharp lens. Little fact for you, if I remember correctly, I believe that this camera model has been used to photograph more magazine covers than any other camera in the world. So this was an extremely popular camera back in the day, amongst fashion photographers and portrait photographers. I used it on a shoot when I went to New York with singer-songwriter Nick Howard, and I believe that the photograph that he took using my camera, directed by me with connected to this softbox actually, I believe it's you can get that still as an attachment inside his All or Nothing album that's currently out now. So you can grab that, and that's why I love this, and I process the images myself from this camera, and that's coming on to really why I loved film. it made me appreciate film even more after that job, because I'm gonna be cliched, and everyone does say it, but you really cannot recreate that look in film. You can digitally. I guess for me, it all adds to part of that story. I keep talking about the importance of story and the context of it, but there are more things that could go wrong taking an image with film, because one, obviously you can't see it straight away. Especially if someone like me who processes the film themselves, you know, something could go wrong there as well. You know, when you take the film out, you don't want to expose it. You've got to make sure it's loaded into the tank okay, and the chemicals are mixed correctly at the right temperature. And then once you've done that, you then need to scan it yourself. And I do it an old school way. I actually photograph it rather than using a scanner. I then load it into Lightroom, and then I start tweaking it there. So it's a long process to actually get your final image, but if you get it good, then it's so good, and it's so worth it for all that process of it potentially going wrong and it finally goes right. So that, and shooting on 120 film as well, you only get 12 shots per roll, and it's a much bigger than traditional 35mm. So this is like 120, so it's a much bigger film size. So it means it has a larger resolution, and it's even sharper than 35mm. Everyone says it, and I'm going to say it. It does make you think more about your shots, because if you only have 36 shots to a roll, or if worse, if you only have a 120 film and you only got 12 shots to a roll, it makes you think about every single shot before you take it. You really do think and compose your shots. And another personal project that I'm going to be doing in the future is, so this is my brand new Polaroid camera that I only got yesterday actually. So this is the SX70 Polaroid land camera. This is a more traditional one that comes out like so. And I've bought an attachment which I haven't got right here that sits on top here. It's a little flash attachment that sits on top there. But the great thing about that flash, because I didn't buy it for the flash at all, I bought it because it has a PC sync connection on the side. And if you don't know what that is, it allows you to plug a flash into the camera. So like the one I did in New York with this camera, the PC sync cord is actually on the lens here. So I was able to connect and combined old technology with new lighting technology to it, so I could still use off-camera flash, which is what 99% of my work is using off-camera flash. Well, you can obviously use it with film cameras, but you can now do it with Polaroid cameras, and that's a very hard thing because Polaroid is all automatic. I can't control the aperture, the shutter speed. The only thing I have control of is the film speed. But how do you get an exposure using flash with Polaroid if the camera doesn't know what's coming? That's what I'm researching, and that's what I'm looking into. And I think I found a few blogs where I have found the answer, and I'm going to explore that more and see if I can develop that technique even more. But if I'm able to create a Polaroid image using off-camera flash and get a decent exposure, then that for me is just going to be amazing, and it's going to look amazing. And yeah, I'm just kind of rambling now, but to sum up, everyone should own a film camera if they're a photographer. It's so much fun. It really does. If you're not au fait with manual mode, then maybe get more au fait with it. But then, having said that, these cameras, the Canon 81, has a program mode, so effectively it does have an automatic mode. And then you just can't describe the quality that you've taken on film. Don't take my word for it. Go and get a film camera, because even if you don't use it that much, it looks great set on your shelf. You can give it to, you know, your children one day and say, you know, this is how it was done back in the day. And again, it just looks cool. I mean, if nothing, it makes for a great shelf piece, right? And I have plenty of them to make great shelf pieces. You should see my shelf, it looks awesome. Yeah, that's basically it. So you should definitely buy a film camera. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again next time. Thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye.